It's kind of easier to be all spiritual by yourself. You know what I mean? Go on a mountain and just stay there for a long time. Come down glowing. But then you got to face people again when you come down. And all of a sudden things become a little more challenging. But that's God's intention. A lot of people just don't know how to, they haven't experienced true love from anybody. And so when they finally see people who actually love one another, it speaks of God. It speaks of something beyond human worldly nature. It speaks of the character and the nature of God. And that is the most powerful thing. We're not living a normal human earthly life as most people are living. His very blood and causing us to be born of His Spirit. There is no closer way that God could describe that He's not just on our side, we're in Him, we're of Him, we are. Remember John 13:35. Jesus said, by this people will know that you're my disciples. If you have love for who? One another. Not for God. He didn't say, by this people will know you're my disciples if you love God. No, that's not what He said. Like we said last week, everybody can say, I love God. John 17, as we've shared many times, Jesus prayed. He's speaking to Father, and He says, Father, I pray that they, the believers, may be one in the same way as we are one. Okay? So this relationship, this perfect relationship that Jesus said, and I and my Father are one, as an expression of that, He says, and that we may be one in Him. So we're going to continue. It's kind of a part 2 of last Sunday, okay, where we were talking about this dynamics of a relationship with God, a relationship with each other, and that this really is the expression of God in the world. Okay? So if people want to see God, they will see Him through us living out this union we have with Him and the relationship that we share with each other. Everyone who loves is born of God. So what does that mean, everyone who loves? Is that a doctrine that we believe? Or is that a life lived? Is it something, does it involve our actions? Oh, it involves our actions. Okay. So it says everyone who loves, it's like a fruit tree. If a fruit, every tree is known by its fruit, right? If you have a pear tree, it will produce pears. It's not going to produce carrots. That would be quite a sight. Okay. It doesn't happen. Every tree, everything reproduces after its own kind. Okay. So everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. So a son of God will produce love because God is love. 1 John 4:8 says God is love. Well, next verse, let me read it. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. What does that mean? God so loved the world while we were still sinners, while we were still blaspheming, while we were still totally disregarding and disrespecting God and just making a God out of our own selfishness and all of these things. While we were still sinners, God gave His very Son for us. That shows us the model of what the love of God through our life should look like. So we don't just love those who love us, or we don't just treat with respect those who treat us with respect, or we don't just, the same grace and love that God extended to us while we were yet sinners is the same grace that we should be extending to others. How much more those who are of the household of God, who we walk together, should we go out of our way to bring people in and closer, regardless of the emotions we may be experiencing. There is